It's Tuesday, October 28th. Welcome to Scouting the League. There are coaching openings galore at the NCAA level. Teams are starting to get lined up for their guy. Who that is, time will tell. But you can be ahead of the game by thinking outside of the box a little bit. And today we will talk about how you can do that. Before we jump in, though, head over, make sure you like, subscribe, and share this podcast wherever you are listening or watching, whether that's on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or that video portion over on YouTube. Hit those buttons. Most importantly, though, share this with a friend. Let somebody else in your fan base know, hey, think about these things when we're thinking about who that next head coach is going to be and why. Make good decisions. Stand around the water cooler or on the road, wherever you're at, and have a little bit of additional insight. So share this with a friend and then head over, give me a follow as well. At RightStepADV is where you can find me on X. Go check out my website, rsafootball.com, for everything you need to know. 6 years with the Atlanta Falcons, 1 year with the Tennessee Titans, time at Ohio State as well, coaching at the Division III level. Again, everything I do, hear from different sources. Again, open up your mind, take everything in, run it through your filter. And then again, that is a lot of what you need to be doing as you think about where we're at in the college season, what head coaching jobs are opening. So make sure you do that. Hit those buttons, gives, follows wherever you need to. Scouts and aspiring scouts, make sure you're then checking out thescoutingcommunity.com. For current NFL scouts, it is an exclusive group for only scouts, completely anonymous. Your identity will always be protected, but we will have everything you need for the job that perhaps your NFL team is not providing. Yeah, check out yesterday's episode if you want to talk a little bit more about that. From salary surveys to research with insurance to scouting visits to maybe just a sounding board when you don't feel like you can step out there. Let me take those arrows for you. Neil Stratton is always along for the ride as well. So go check out thescoutingcommunity.com. Get signed up today. And for aspiring scouts, learn how to watch film, learn what you need to be doing now during the fall, during the spring to make sure you are set up for that NFL hiring cycle. No matter where you are at on the journey, high school, college, or you're a professional that wants to get into football, hit me up over at thescoutingcommunity.com. Get signed up today. We will have a call, figure out exactly where you need to be at. Make sure you check out tomorrow's episode with The Athletics' Dane Brugler as we go through that 2026 NFL draft. Not just players, which we get to a bunch of, but perhaps how that first round could shake up with no QB1 on the board at this point. I haven't seen one that I would like at number one. Some good players, of course. We'll talk about some of the freaks, some of the guys who are going to be great first round picks and make teams better. That's all with Dane Brugler tomorrow. We got Fran Duffy on Thursday. Next week, we get Jay Paterno talking the state of Penn State, as well as his new book coming up. Bunch of great guests throughout the coming week, so make sure you're checking everything that out there. Make sure you check out our partners over at BlueMaca.com, BLUMAKA.com for those insoles, whether it's plantar fascia, recovery, turf toe, or you want to improve that performance with that non-slip insoles. Trainers and agents, this should be a part of every care package you're putting together for your guys this December, January. Make sure those insoles are part of it and get a discount. Use code SCOUTING20 at checkout to get that discount on your Blue Maca insoles. SCOUTING20. Make sure you go check it out at BlueMaca.com. And while you're at it, head over to inactiveco.com. Get the sleep mask, the sleep gear that will improve sleep. Again, nice and easy. Slip an insole in, put some gear on, put a sleep mask on, improve your sleep, improve your performance no matter where it's at. Check them all out over at BlueMaca.com and inactiveco.com. So let's get into the conversation today. Power 4 head coaching openings with this weekend's Brian Kelly news. We are now up to even more job openings. Stanford, UCLA, Virginia Tech, Oklahoma State, Arkansas, Penn State, Florida, LSU. Plenty of rumors still circulating around Florida State, Kentucky, Auburn, Wisconsin. Are there going to be more beyond that? Who knows? The time is coming. as you start to make head coaching decisions at this point in the year, there's always a number of factors. The biggest one in today's day and age seems to be getting out ahead and starting to do the recruiting for that head coach to make sure everything is in place as soon as that guy can come in. Again, for a school like LSU making this decision now, I believe there are probably 2 or 3 candidates that they want to get out in front of as this year has gone about as far south as you would think it could with the roster, a high-end roster, a roster that has underachieved. We'll come back to that word here as we go. You've got the quarterback, you've got some pieces in place. Yes, you had to replace some O-line, but there are dudes all over on that field. The way they've gone out and performed, again, it has to be an indictment on the head coach with the way the last couple of years. Again, you also talk about a really odd fit with the coach Kelly down there at LSU. If from the get-go, it seemed like an odd one. Again, Notre Dame is happy to have it happen the way it did. Marcus Freeman, a great one up there at Notre Dame. Can't imagine he's going anywhere, no matter how many people want to toot that horn. So is LSU getting lined up for a guy like Joe Brady? That might be an argument I'd make. Or is it a guy like Fran Brown up at Syracuse? Again, can make that argument as well. Or do you stay in state, head over to John Summerall at Tulane? Again, I think those are names that are going to be connected. Up in Penn State, again, you go from number 2 in the country to unranked and losing to Northwestern, a team that has been at the top, that expects themselves to be at the top, certainly a blue chipper. Again, do you get lined up for a guy like Fran Brown or Matt Campbell, or do you think outside of the box a little bit? Again, one of the guys that was heavily connected, Kurt Zignetti, don't think he's leaving Indiana after that new contract he's got. So you have to think about where you're going. Again, as these teams start to think about who that next head coach is, you are in a different era than you used to be. If I'm Penn State, am I calling Urban Meyer? Yeah, I'm at least making the phone call. Nick Saban, I'm at least going to make the phone call. There are some names like that. You at least have to pick up the phone and see, hey, are they even going to entertain him? But after that, outside of those names, you have to find the right person, the right fit. You find a couple things: an overachiever. You find a program and culture fit, a guy that fits with what you want to do. Let's start with that overachiever coach. You look at some of these coaches around college football landscape and you think, man, he's always doing great things with great rosters. Again, doing the expected. Again, not saying that Ryan Day has done what's expected, because again, his record, his success now at Ohio State, really unprecedented. You look at some of the numbers, unbelievably good. But again, largely doing what's expected there at Ohio State. You think about guys like James Franklin, then again, high expectation that was never able to win at Penn State. You think about another name that we'll throw into that Penn State category if Penn State wants to go back to Nashville is Clark Lee. What is expected at Vanderbilt? With this roster in the SEC, is anybody expecting them to be a top 10 team? Absolutely not. Clark Lee and that Vanderbilt team is absolutely overachieving. You're finding the overachiever coach. I think that is the argument for Fran Brown and Matt Campbell as well. Fran Brown at Syracuse. Nobody expects that Syracuse football team to consistently compete at the level they have been. Well coached, getting the most out of their talent. Again, same thing at Iowa State. Matt Campbell and that team consistently winning 9-10 games, knocking off at least one of the big time programs every year. Yeah, you have some setbacks, but you look at the people, the players he has won with, it's been a lot of 3-star Jimmy and Joes, not the elite dudes. So you talk about your overachievers like Fran Brown and Matt Campbell being great fits from that standpoint for a school like Penn State. I don't think those two guys necessarily make sense because of the way they run a program at a school like LSU. LSU, Penn State should not, in my opinion, be looking at the same head coaching candidates. When you do, that is when you're looking at somebody that is not a program and culture fit, a la Brian Kelly all those years ago. When he came down, you start talking about a guy that really felt out of place at LSU. I think he was at a pretty good spot there at Notre Dame for him. Again, whether his personality, the way he ran things behind the scenes, maybe wasn't a fit for that institution. I absolutely think Brian Kelly will be back at a good program. I would argue that Brian Kelly could be a fit at Penn State, perhaps. I don't think anybody at Penn State would want to swallow that pill this soon. But again, Penn State is the type of school that I think Brian Kelly could have success at. Finding the overachiever, finding the program fit, finding the culture fit absolutely matters. Does Alma Mater matter in all the conversations? Again, always to a degree. You would love a guy that comes back. That is the dream job. I think that is the Marcus Freeman argument. Well, I don't think he's going anywhere else. There's one job Marcus Freeman would ever entertain. Again, my opinion, other than Notre Dame, and that's the Ohio State University, his alma mater. I think that is the type of program that it would take to get, again, Notre Dame, as blue blood as they come. You're not going to have better resources anywhere in the country. You're not going to be able to make that argument. Notre Dame's a great spot for him. So again, when you start talking about a Matt Rule leaving Nebraska to head over to Penn State, alma mater, yes, I get it. Matt Rule has overachieved at Temple. You take the Carolina Panthers, take the NFL experiment out of it. Matt Rule has done good things. Has he overachieved yet at Nebraska? Hard telling. Again, big win this week, finally getting one over the top against Northwestern, getting bowl eligible. I don't know if it still makes sense for Matt Rule at Penn State. Is he going to get more out of Penn State than he is at Nebraska? Nebraska is going to have as much buy-in, as many resources, all the tools that Penn State does. Again, just go back a little bit. Again, I've been called a boomer for saying that Nebraska is as good a program as Penn State. I'm going to stake my claim to that one, and I will die on that hill. But again, Matt Rule, does it make sense? Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Do I think it's going to happen? No, it doesn't. But again, that alma mater piece always going to pop back up into the conversation. So again, it really, really happens. One of the things that programs, colleges, NFL teams always have to be doing throughout this process is using their evaluators to help when narrowing that pool, not limiting the pool, but narrowing the pool. Again, good scouts are always evaluating. If it's not asked, it is part of the note-taking process. Who are the good ones? Who are the ones that you notice that are sticking out, that are being talked about, that you really like the way they operate culturally, from a position standpoint, coaching really hard? Again, those are the sources that teams are smart. They're going to be using those sources to make sure they narrow that pool. Again, it's reasons why Stanford and Oklahoma State should be looking at different categories of players. Again, start thinking about those guys from different standpoints. Why Penn State and Florida and LSU shouldn't be looking at the same guys. Again, those teams that have those people in place. Again, Florida, LSU, really good people in the front office. Who is the right fit in Gainesville? While you're up at Penn State, who are the right fit to come in and lead the Nittany Lions back to the spot? Again, John Summerall at Tulane, Alex Golesh. Again, perhaps you're talking short trips in state to get where they need to go. Lane Kiffin. Are any of these jobs better than Ole Miss? Again, people within that Ole Miss program. If you're thinking about poaching Lane Kiffin, I'm calling every scout that I know that's been in that building, has been around Lane, that has done an outside evaluation. Hey, do you think Lane Kiffin is a fit if we came up here to the Northeast? Again, for some of these Penn State scouts out here, scouts that have been through there, is Lane Kiffin a fit there? Again, use your resources. Maybe you don't eliminate anybody, but you narrow the pool. Do you think about Dan Mullen? Has he grown? Again, some of these older scouts that have seen Dan Mullen in his first iteration of Florida, and now UNLV as a retread like that, or is it G.J. Kinney at Texas State? Should we go with that experiment? Is he doing the right things there? Yes, they're having success. Talk to me about the rest of the stuff you have seen in that program. Use your scouting resources to help narrow the pool. Find out who's the right fit. Find your overachievers. Find your culture and program fits. All of it's going to get lined up. Again, the jockeying in early position for these head coaches certainly plays a factors. Guys like Jimmy Sexton, we all hear the name all the time. He holds a lot of those cards, but patience is a virtue. Rush decisions are often regretted decisions. That is absolutely holding true as we talk about $54 million buyouts to go home. look for a job. And, if you're listening, that was air quotes there, as we're looking for jobs. So again, make a patient decision, do your due diligence, trust your scouts, trust the people that are part of the process. You don't have to just go after that big name. You will be better off for it in the end. What should your team do? Who are other names, and what should be happening with these head coaching jobs across the country? Let me know at Right Step ADV, as always, is where you can find me. Make sure you're checking out our upcoming episodes, past episodes, listening to everything, watching football, but most importantly, scouting.